newly liberated person that was
It's
navigating
now giving us a notification that we're live. Are we now on Facebook?
We wasn't even live, you.
Are we now live? We've just missed all that beautiful exposition.
Bro, we'll do a quick recap, like, right. So everybody knows we're all mental, right? We're all off our nut, like, and we're doing comedy.
This is amazing. I love this. Whatever you guys said before, just pretend we never talked about that.
So the previous 15 minutes of podcast talk did not happen.
No.
Okay.
It's a figment of your imagination. It's it's a metaphor. I think it's a metaphor for mental health. I think this all is.
No, we're not on Facebook. Yes, we are. Go live. No, go live.
So I click to go live.
It won't let me go live. Can you click go live?
Yeah, I'm trying to. It looks like this broadcast was deleted on Facebook. To stream on Facebook, create a new broadcast, or just remove the desktop. I think what Jimmy did, if it's live on YouTube, we can then put it on Facebook later.
Yeah, drop the YouTube link on Facebook. Let's get this going.
Because then we'll have to do broadcast again, and it will just be.
And you know there was some real comedy gems there. I don't want to deprive the audience of.
No, absolutely not. So hang on, this wasn't. So was it on YouTube before? Is this now on YouTube?
It says it's on YouTube.
Okay,
but I cannot find it anywhere. But we've got one viewer. So,
fantastic! Hello, viewer.
Who are you? Welcome. If you can share this on Facebook,
share it around. Share. And also, there's a link.
If all the rest of this goes downhill, then we can just claim the first 15 minutes was pure beautiful,
pure gold. You know.
It was too good to go out.
Minutes, you guys missed it.
Okay, so let's dive into this then. I think so. Kitty and Jimmy, you both talked about
mental health.
Yeah, mental health. But what you haven't been able to talk about on stage, because there's a long list. I think you said that, Kitty. What is it you haven't talked about on stage that you might like to talk about more tonight? What do you want to get out there?
Gosh. I mean, I think another one of the reasons I haven't done a whole bunch of material on it is I feel like there's only so much humor that I can currently drag out of the miserable pits of my brain. And it's actually really good to kind of have the escapism of get on the stage, and my stage persona is not lying in bed depressed. And therefore I thought that, yay, laughter exists. And then after that, I can kind of go and deal with my brain in a separate place, because I feel like if I get on stage and I'm like, here are all the ways that everything is awful, I would have to be in a good place to start with to spin that into lots of humor. And I know it can be done, but I am not there right now.
And I think a really good, from what I've seen, Netflix thing to watch, Hannah Gadsby, when she talks about trauma on stage. Yeah, it's incredible the way she does it, but to get to that stage is so hard to do, and I don't think any comedians apart from her have really done that in that successful a way. But I don't
on Facebook.
Yay!
Facebook.
We are. Please like, share, subscribe, donate as well. We've got a donate button. Don't pick. Give us money, please. We promise we're not all bad all the time.
Sorry that we had a mix up, but hey ho, we are disabled and things do go wrong.
Oh, this is fine. This is, as we all said, this metaphor for mental health and disability, and we can all celebrate it. We can celebrate mistakes. That's another thing I don't think we do. It's okay to get things wrong sometimes, and I think we've all been there where we've beaten ourselves up when something has gone wrong. But actually, it's part of our learning journey. It's part of our process.
Mm-hmm. I had a gig just after lockdown. in fact, 2 gigs in a row where the same thing happened, where one of the biggest laughs I genuinely got, and it wasn't a planned moment and people thought it was, whereas I'd entirely forgotten what I was doing next because it had been so many months over lockdown that I did have to like go in my bra and find the piece of paper that said it. That got such a huge laugh over my actual planned punchlines. And it's just like, clearly it's going wrong is like the gold I'm not tapping into.
But these are the moments that help us like discover what our comedy persona actually is.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the unintended things like are gold. You know, it's like you said, man. It's
it is. I mean, one of us will use this on stage at one point.
Yeah.
Well, I'm absolutely convinced one of us at some point will. Just in case we haven't done proper, or they haven't seen proper introductions. Obviously, I'm Mark Burkwood. I run a disability and mental health night called Laugh Able. It's a comedy night. Please check it out. Benny Shakes. This is his. I did it that way. He's absolutely fantastic. He's running.
I can do the video again, but I think that's gone now.
It's fine. Don't worry about it. But yeah, Benny Shakes. He's an amazing comedian. He's running this podcast and the comedy disability group as well. And Kitty Messalina and Jimmy Longmore, both fantastic comedians that we've got on tonight. We're very, very privileged to have these you two on tonight.
Thank you.
But yeah, no worries, absolutely. Right, see if there's any comments so far.
We've gathered that you've both suffer with mental health, just so everyone knows. And I do, and Mark does. Yeah, that side, Mark. Stop moving.
Shaking it up, are you, Benny?
So we're going to talk about that a lot tonight. Great. But also, Kitty, I don't know if you want to mention, but I do, about what's been going on over the past 4 months in America and this country, and how you feel about it as well, especially in comedy.
Yeah, okay. I'm being thrown the Black Lives Matter ball, am I? That's what's happening.
It does say Benny shakes things up.
Yeah, no, I mean,
so yeah,
I mean, I was saying before we actually successfully went live, how I haven't really spoken much about disability on stage because I kind of tick too many marginalized boxes as it is. And so I get on stage and I talk about race, or I'll talk about being bisexual or being polyamorous. And then I've run out of time in a 5 or 10 minute set to start talking about being fat or being a woman or I'll do a bit of politics or anything that's just every day that applies to anyone. But yeah, race. I diversify a lineup. Yeah, I mean, it's another thing. I mean, intersectionality is obviously a whole thing when it comes to all of this. So whilst I'm obviously here because I'm ADHD and bipolar, I've kind of got a whole bunch of things that interacts with. And actually, I think one of the things is like, if you're seeking any kind of like medical help or whatever, in terms of statistically who gets listened to, whose pain is taken seriously, who they believe to tell them about what's going on with their brain or their body. I think, yeah, I mean, I am a woman. I have visible Black heritage. I have 2 different mental health diagnoses, and that all comes together to just basically stack up on top of itself. And I kind of it's not like I can say like, oh, it's harder to be black than to be mentally ill or whatever. It's kind of, they're all different things, but they kind of come together sometimes. And I'm like, I wonder if this would have been easier if I were white but still mentally messed up, or if I were black but didn't have this on my medical record. Because they come in together. And of course I won't. It's all hypotheticals. But they kind of stack up and lead to this. Yeah.
But we love you the way you are, because you have had several good reviews from the Fox, he said. Peter Fox, sorry.
I am very grateful to Peter Fox for occasionally tagging me in lots of kind of gig opportunities as well. And again, I keep getting the things of like, we're looking for, a queer woman of color. And I'm like, yes. But thank you for being in my corner. I hope I continue to entertain. Otherwise I'll get the, she's gone downhill.
Well, you entertain me when we're on a line-up together. So, if you guys don't know the Fox, Peter Fox, he's a reviewer, comedian reviewer, writer, blogger, who basically travels from Mansfield to Nottingham, reviewing all the fantastic comedians who come into our county. So when you guys are over this way, you will get a review.
Come to Midlands.
He will not tell you he's there until
he's
done your 10-minute or 15-minute. So, which I think is great, because when he reviewed me, Tommy went, "That's Peter Fox." So I'm like, oh, no pressure then.
No pressure at all.
You could have just said, I don't know who he is.
He did exactly the same thing to me when he emceed my first gig, actually. That's clearly what he does, just by the way.
By the way,
and I wasn't sure if he was joking. It was my first ever gig. Like my first ever gig, 5 minutes. And Tommy was like, "That's a reviewer." And I was like, I can't tell if this is just kind of hazing the new girl. And then got on stage and did my bit and got the lovely review. But I'd signed up with kind of the throwaway name that I use on various kind of internet platforms and stuff. And then suddenly it's become, my stage name, because I had a review that was official from my first gig, and it was, I guess I do comedy.
Incredible. That's
I guess it's the thing that I do.
This is what you do now, yes.
Yeah, I got away from him. I think he reviewed my 5th gig, and even I got a positive review.
I need to get myself to a Peter Fox gig.
Yeah, you do. Peter Fox is a man. So, yeah.
But you know what? I've done comedy 3 years, and I've never had a reviewer in the audience.
Say that, mate.
But what I'm saying is, I can't imagine the pressure that puts you under.
Hang on. Hi, Benny. It's Peter.
Is he listening
tonight? I will review you later. I'm joking. That was a joke.
Fantastic.
Brilliant.
You never know. So
you never know who's watching.
Yeah. Where was we?
Talking about reviewers and the audience, I think.
Have you had any reviews, Jimmy?
Actually, the only review that I'm aware of was a bad review that got released months after the gig for reasons unknown. About 6 weeks ago, it was in Aberdeen, and I didn't feel that I'd performed very well. A lot of people said they enjoyed my jokes and things, but I think there was a struggle to be understood in Aberdeen, and it was I didn't understand the necessity for the review to come out 4 months after the fact. You know, so but it wasn't such a great review. It was, and the ironic thing was I'd done like about 4 gigs that weekend, and that was the only one that I wasn't happy with, and that got reviewed. So,
that's it.
What was it?
There was also a situation when I got to the gig. I'd been booked to do 2 gigs in Aberdeen, and I had to wait till 8 o'clock because I wanted to speak to the promoter that actually invited me to Aberdeen to say to them I had the other gig. And I was in this kind of stressful place where I was like, I wanted to get to the other gig, but and then also as well, it turns out there's big animosity between the promoter that had booked me and the other gig. So I had all these things going through my head. Do you know what I mean? It was like they when I told them I'd been booked for the other gig as well, they were not happy. And it was like, I think without looking for anything to blame but myself, I think that had a big effect on my performance. You know, that whole idea that I thought I had 2 gigs, and then it turned out the very fact that I took 2 gigs had caused trouble in a strange city, and it was and then of course I read a review about it months later, and I'm like, fuck, I wish I hadn't even went to Aberdeen.
Can I just butt in and ask how special guest, because you don't know, Kitty, we've got a special guest. He was coming on at 8:45, but because we're behind schedule, can you come in at 8 o'clock? If
8 o'clock, you do mean 9 o'clock?
9 o'clock.
Because I was gonna say, Penny, like 8 o'clock, that time has passed. Unless you have a time, unless this is Back to the Future, then I think we're a bit stuck.
We have got.
I'll tell you what, if we're capable of time travel, can we not just go right to the start of the year? And try and change things.
He's here already. I do apologise, Prime Minister, but can you wait there for a bit longer? Nod your head if you... Yeah, right, that's fine. Carry on.
9 o'clock, we have a special guest.
Yes.
And Prime Minister, we're not going to say what country. We say the Prime Minister, any country.
Whoever. It could be American or whatever. So, if you've got any questions you want to say to the Prime Minister, Jimmy or Kitty, now is your time.
I don't have any questions. I don't have any questions, but I've got a few declarations for him.
I'm sure he can take it
in a bit. So he's nodding away, saying, "Yeah."
Oh, yeah. I do actually. Now I think about it, I do have one question for the British Prime Minister, and it's, what the fuck is actually with your hair?
That's the question.
I tell you what, shall we bring him in now?
All right, let's see what's happening.
We can kick him out after 5
Oh, that sounds
minutes.
good.
Oh, that's nice.
Keep bringing them back in and kicking them out.
It really does feel like Prime Minister's questions, you know.
Yeah,
this has got a good feel to it.
The man himself, I forgot his name, Mr. Boris Vagina.
Oh, Boris Johnson.
Hi, everybody. Nice to see you all. And I've been listening to all your good comments there. Very good. It's the podcast is going well, even though it was a little late. A little bit. You're not sponsored by Track and Trace by any chance, are you, Benny?
Well, we are funded by your government, so yeah.
Is that a good thing or is that a good thing or a bad
anxiety
thing?
spikes.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know. Sorry. Yes,
We'll let the listeners decide.
yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. You said kicked out after 5 minutes. Hopefully, I'll be kicked out after 5 years. This is the thing. Hopefully.
Oh, I was banking on 1 year, but 5 years.
Well, it's constitutionally impossible. You see, constitutionally
That was
impossible.
Brexit, though. So
excuse me, Mark. It's not all about you. It's about the guests. So, what would you like to say to the Prime Minister, you guys? Kitty?
So, Boris. So sorry.
Oh, sorry. No, yeah, Jimmy, go ahead.
So, Boris, what the fuck is with your hair anyway, man? Like, what's the deal there?
I borrowed it off some pet cat somewhere, and I think I just plonked it on my head one day, or I comb it in a wind tunnel. Usually, is a bit like this, is all over the place, like it's all rather good.
Do you ever think maybe what's happened is you get your head stuck up that cat's arse?
I got my head stuck up a lot of asses to be quite honest.
That's along the lines of what I was thinking. Yeah,
I'm sure you were. I preempted the question. This is what I do every Wednesday in the House of Commons with that Keir Starmer, whatever his name is. That's it. Sorry. Yes. Sorry.
What about you, Kitty?
Boris, why do you hate poor people? And please, can I have some money?
I'm
so broke.
It's a difficult question to answer.
You know how there was just 12 billion thrown into nothing for some Excel spreadsheets that didn't work? Could I just have like a tiny, like a fraction of that would be swell. Fund the arts note, like.
I'll see what I can do. But I'm very sorry to hear that you're broke. If someone can do a Twitter campaign for you, would that work? Would that work for you?
I mean, I could do with it kind of applying to everyone. Just Vive la Revolution. Just saying.
Yes, revolution.
Already.
Yeah, well, there was an attempted revolution last year, but he unfortunately is not around anymore. Whatever his name was. But anyway, yes. Come the revolution.
If you do want to donate to the podcast, Boris Johnson, or anyone to give our comedians a pint or a coffee or a voucher for Greg's, the link is below and in the comments page.
Yes, please donate. Please donate. Please send more money in now. Please.
If you want us to have a pint, you're going to have to get rid of these tiers nonsense and open all the pubs, though. That's the thing.
Oh yeah.
But then you see, vulnerable people die.
Yeah. In Scotland, you have your own programs. I understand. But yes, the lady up there is doing a wonderful job. Whatever her name is, Jimmy Cranky, I think it is. That's the one.
I think that's enough from you, Boris. Oh, do you want a word? Oh, go on then, if we have to.
Me? Oh, thank you. Okay, so Boris. Okay, so why don't you like the arts? Or people with disabilities, or anyone vulnerable, anyone that's less. Why don't you like any of them?
I didn't answer the question before, and I shall dance around it again. And try not to answer it once again. This is what I've got to do.
I think the answer you're looking for is it's not that I don't like them. It's like I don't give a fuck, isn't it?
That's a little bit nearer the mark, Jimmy. A little bit nearer the crux of the matter.
I think that's enough from you, Boris. I want to get to know my comedian, so goodbye.
Thank you, and vote Conservative. Thank you.
Yeah,
Just so you know,
No,
my
what,
internet
vote
connection.
Conservative? Where you go, you cheeky bastard.
It's all right. Kitty will be back in a minute.
Oh, look, Boris had a comment on Facebook. Who wants to read that one out?
I can't see it.
Oh, you can read it.
So I read. Well, hang on. What's blue glass? Oh, Emma Roberts. Jimmy hasn't been a surge in hate of Boris recently in Scotland. Is that because he's a beer drinker?
No, it's to be honest, people in Scotland have always hated Boris so much it would be impossible for it to have a surge. The hate has remained level throughout his entire existence, I think. It's a mutual apathy.
There we go. She's back. Yep. Maybe.
You okay there, Kitty?
Kitty.
Frozen? Oh.
She'll be back shortly, I'm sure. But where was we with the questions?
I don't know. Read out some of these
Let her
comments.
namesake, she'll be back when she wants some milk. Yeah, hello, okay.
Oh, Kitty's there.
Hey,
What questions?
Am I here?
Yeah, indeed, yeah.
Boris, you fascist cunt. I think I've read right. Boris, you fascist cunt. I mean, I'm not saying there's a question in there.
Boris, who chose
Messi or Ronaldo?
Right.
Well, both are billionaires like him, so I mean,
you can ask him next podcast. I do believe he will be on every 5 minutes. So yeah.
Every 5 minutes.
No, I mean every podcast for 5 minutes.
To me, that's how long he lasts.
You could have him on like
5 minutes. You know?
you could have him on every.
I give up. I really do this.
My connection
have him
broke
on
up
every 15
before I got
minutes.
the chance to ask him what I was planning on as well, which was whether or not my set that I did the day before the election was accurate, and that he really does shout huzzah when he finishes.
You could have Boris back every 15 minutes.
Political, election special.
You could have him back every 15 minutes, like the news and the radio, like some kind of prick bulletin or something.
Yeah,
maybe.
Only took me 6 times to try that joke. Like
that's why he's so many kids. He only lasts 5 minutes. Brilliant. Love it.
Keep it clean. Keep it clean.
Keep
I was
it clean.
about to ask how nice do I have to be here, because I do have like extended material in my sets now, which seems to be all about like screwing Tories, and I don't know quite how it's developed into like I've probably got about 15 minutes of like actual Tory fucking material, and it's
I don't think there is. I don't think.
That's
I
not
don't think there is.
actually but they say if you joke about something enough times, then it actually does become your kink, and I'm a bit concerned.
But you know what? As long as you've never kissed a Tory, it's fine. Everything else.
I will not make any claims.
Before we get on to small questions, I'm going to have to ask this before I forget, because will get into trouble by Kate. It's a very important question. What is your favourite biscuit?
Favourite
Very
biscuit?
important, yes.
I'm quite an Oreo fan these days. I like Oreos.
Oreo.
Does a cookie class as a biscuit? If it's like a soft cookie, does that count?
I don't know, Casey. I
Biscuit
think
expert.
so. I think it is, because a cookie is a biscuit, isn't it?
But like a proper, like soft, like gooey, freshly baked cookie
no,
type.
it's gotta be
It's gotta be like the little hard chocolate chip ones. Never mind then. I'm gonna go for like a ginger snap custard creamy combo thing. You know, you get the Fox's ones where it's like the ginger creams.
Oh, Fox's Crunch Creams, they're lovely, man. Yeah.
Oh,
like you get the stem ginger ones. They're proper decent.
Oh,
actually, I'm going to change mine to that because I prefer them.
You
Oh,
can't.
fuck you then. I'll have a chocolate
I'm
hobnob.
not the
No,
rule.
we can
You
both
can't have
have
the
them.
same thing as me.
Yes, I can.
Rude.
No, you've chose your biscuit. Now you got
Chocolate
stick.
hobnob.
All right, I'm stuck with
That's
Oreos then.
Oh, all right then. I'm a
Yes.
ginger cream. It's actually just dyed red, but you know. Nor am I cream. I don't really know where I was going with that.
No, I don't.
I've been accused of being a caramel tart.
So we've had toy fucking material, and now we've had biscuit fucking material. I
wasn't
like it when
fucking the material to biscuits.
Well,
I was
no,
becoming a biscuit.
butt plug. I mean Burkwood.
Butt plug.
Burkwood.
Yeah, thanks for that. Thanks for degenerating the conversation. What my favourite biscuit is? I'm going to have to go for a regular hobnob. So not a chocolate one, just a regular standard hobnob.
You disgusting.
Yeah, love it. Costume, because I don't like chocolate. It's not. I do like
You
chocolate.
don't like
but
chocolate?
I do like chocolate, but it's not
Okay.
on a biscuit.
Well, you're
I just-
wrong, but okay.
I'm
My
wrong.
girlfriend doesn't like chocolate, but she's a weirdo. So what's your excuse?
Mine's a bourbon biscuit.
They are
Bourbon
solid.
classic.
Yeah,
They are
I
nice.
love the salt in them. Don't ask me why. When you have a bourbon biscuit, just taste it. There's a salty taste to it.
Are we sure we're talking about bourbon biscuits?
Yes, we are.
I'm wondering what someone's done to Penny's Bourbons.
Well, they are the cheap ones from Aldi's. So, yeah.
There you
Love a
go.
bargain. It's the thrilling content that you get on a Friday night.
Love it. Friday night biscuit chat. Love it. Absolutely love it.
We spoke about how you guys got into comedy.
Was that before or after we went live?
I don't know.
I think maybe we could go over it again. Like,
Yeah, can you remind me? Because I was flapping about trying to get things working. So,
Who's going first?
All right. Well, I'd done a workshop a couple of years ago, and I was actually only just wanting to see if the stuff that I was writing from my own sort of fiction writing was funny, and it turns out it is quite funny. And I just kept doing comedy from there. I completely smashed my first few gigs, and then began the life of a comedian, which is that a lot of gigs you don't smash.
right.
But I thought I was the new messiah. I thought I was here to change comedy for everyone, you know. And apparently I wasn't.
straight white man getting on stage.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I wanted to fill that quote. I didn't feel there was enough straight white guys. Although to be
No,
fair,
there's not. There's
like-
none. There's hardly any.
to be fair,
They don't
I mean, I'm
exist.
only straightish. Do you know what I mean? And like, I'm not like I'm fucking. I don't know. Being called a straight white guy to me is a straight white guy is Nigel Farage, and I don't have any identification with that cunt whatsoever.
That's
And
not
like-
one of the demographic. It's quite a large number of people that fit that demographic.
It is, but I don't think.
I mean, that's like saying Priti Patel represents women of color. Like,
Yeah, but that's not what I said. Like, I think that like I didn't look in the door and go, "Fuck you guys! I've got enough straight white guys." You know, I felt like, despite the fact that I'm a straight white guy, I've certainly got a unique enough life experience to offer comedy.
oh, for sure.
And that's backed up by the fact that my jokes are fucking funny and they're honest and they're true. Do you know what I mean? So I don't. Maybe there is enough straight white guys in comedy, but there's certainly not enough me in comedy.
Yeah, that's
You know?
true. That's true.
Okay, Kitty, how about you?
Well, I've always loved stand-up from an audience perspective. And then a couple of years ago, I was at a live stand-up gig. And then afterwards, I was in the bar. And I think I was actually on a date. And I was kind of saying to the person that I was with, oh, I've always wanted to give stand-up a go. But, you know, I don't really know whether or not I could do it. And the act who had just been on was like the next drinks table over and just turned around and was like, book yourself a gig, do it now whilst you're several drinks in and have no inhibitions. Find an open mic night, put your name down on a mailing list, just do it. And then if you get something, you'll have a deadline, see how it goes. And I was drunk and I had a laugh and some comedy. So I signed up at the Canal House £1 night, the NCF comedy. Yeah. And quite a while later, I actually had a date that matched up with the emails that went out. And I got a 5-minute slot, which I wrote that day and is still, I think, the best audience response I've ever had. And it's the only gig I've not recorded. And I wish I had that. I think, you know how I've never tried heroin, but I'm told that the first high is the best and you're always trying to reach that again.
Yeah,
I feel like my first adrenaline rush from being on stage and people like standing up being like, yes, you're funny. I am chasing that high.
We all are, definitely.
When lockdown happened, I don't know how you guys felt, but for the 2 weeks after, no, month after, I was all right because I still had things to do and that. And then I got into it and I just went downhill because I wasn't out in the car with friends going to 5 gigs every week. And it really, it took me that bad. I've had to go back on depression tablets. So has it been like that for you guys?
I think in terms of, in particular, the lack of live gigs is, I mean, obviously there's great stuff going on. Like, you know, they've got podcasty stuff happening and there's all sorts of creative ways people have got stuff happening online. But it's a very different thing to having an audience that you can bounce off and feel their energy and see their reactions. And like someone typing ha is never going to cut it. I need that room of that energy. And, you know, having had, what was it, like, you know, 8 months or whatever with like no live gigs and, you know, not being on the stage and not, you know, having that is kind of like, oh, I liked that and it's gone, just waiting. And I think in particular, like, I'm still really quite new to stand up and I was like just hitting my drive of like having lots of gigs and like not really having fully like made an impression on the scene yet, but kind of starting to get going on the circuit. I can now technically say I've been gigging for like a year and a bit, but considering like half of that I wasn't gigging, it's like this weird disconnect where I think I've done something like 22 gigs now, and it's like the whole thing is like, you know, months and months of nothingness. So I don't feel like I've been doing it for like a year and a bit, because I haven't, you know, I've been doing it a few months of
like Jimmy, you talk about that on your podcast a little bit, don't you, about what comedians do during lockdown and how
I mean it's quite interesting that that this is a time for us to like reflect and to work in things and to keep comedy going alive, you know. It's because no matter what, as Kitty says, nothing online can never replicate that feeling of the energy of the crowd in the room. But at the same time as well, online is all we have at the moment for most of us, you know. And it's been really eye-opening for me for a variety of reasons to see comedians from all over the world keep going somehow, you know, and new communities opening up and cross-country comedy and things. And it's as much as it's been as a cloud has been cast over comedy, there's also opportunity there. Like, for speaking personally, as a Scottish guy with a very thick accent, I always worried if I would even be able to do comedy in other countries, you know, and not only being able to do comedy, but seeing my jokes land in other countries has been massive for me. It's been like a quantum leap in the evolution of my set, you know. And as a result, I've known that my jokes are landing, that I'm being understood. I've wrote better, I think, in some places, better material than I had before, because you're getting to the core of what comedy actually is when you're doing it for an international audience. You know.
I mean,
And
yeah.
It's as much as it's a dark time for us all, especially with the governments like refusing to recognise the comedy as an art and venues closing and things like that. We have to make the best of what we've got.
You just don't know it yet.
Yep. Yeah, I know, it's ridiculous. But the thing is, we also all comedians. If your job is to make people laugh, then it's your duty to be ready to get out those gates the minute they're open again. You know, that's the way I look at it. And I do my one podcast that you just put up there, All Lockdown How We Laughed.
Yeah,
I'm 13 episodes in now.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Well, hopefully I'll have all you guys on at some point.
I have put your link in the comment section.
Thank you.
About once you've finished talking, I'll go to Kitty and we can.
Oh, I'll never finish talking.
The straight white male comedian, he'll never finish.
I'm mansplaining to the world. Nobody can stop me. Like,
the thing is, I can do this. So,
that power.
You've gone mental, Benny. You're power crazy.
It's been. Oh, what's happened?
Your power's driven you mad. You've lost
I
it.
can do this.
Taking Benny out of his own podcast.
I forgot you've got control. You never logged down, you. You was meant to log out. Right, I'm not the host. Kitty is.
Am I? Wonderful. Well,
I'm a straight white male. I'm fucked.
I was just going to say, it's really telling that I think everyone, like kind of worldwide, not just nationally, when lockdown kind of hit and their usual routine was thrown out and they didn't have their usual plans and hobbies and activities going on, most people turned to Netflix and to stand-up and to music and Spotify and TV and film and all of that. And like in the moments where absolutely the essential workers, you know, you've got your healthcare people, but also the people who take your bins, the people at the checkout, actually the artists were important too. And the people who, you know, kept the rest of society going and not like completely throwing ourselves out the window were, you know, watching comedians and actors and singers and dancers and all of the rest, because, you know, it's something to live for. It is all the...
While you're talking, Kitty, before these two get another word in edgeways, as they do, let's talk about our city. And what we are doing. Well, you're doing. I have got the poster. So carry on talking.
Oh, wow. I didn't know they'd actually finalised that. Cool. So I occasionally do a bit of improv because I'm one of those terrible people who's not just a comedian, does acting and other things and all sorts. And the Nottingham Comedy Festival is obviously not doing the huge amount of live things that they usually would be, but just want to flag Miss Imp. You don't have to be in Nottingham, obviously, because it's all going to be online, where, you know, fantastic improv stuff is happening. You can watch it, you can join in. Also, I think tomorrow night there's like a Halloween improv party games events thing happening. Check out the Facebook page. It should just be a Miss Imp Improv Comedy Nottingham. And there will be events every day of the NCF Comedy Week. And I think I'm running some games at some point, and I am a contestant on the game that is being run at some point, which is definitely not Taskmaster, legally speaking.
Is it just an improv festival?
No, so the comedy festival's happening, but I'm flagging up Miss Imp specifically as a thing that I'm doing stuff in. But there will be other people doing NCF things, I'm sure. So you can check out the Nottingham Comedy Festival Facebook page and check out Miss Imp's improv page. to see what's going on. There will be more updates as schedules are released. There'll probably be lots of acts doing all sorts of things and weird, wacky online things. Some are interactive, some you can be an audience. Join us.
You've said all of that, and the only thing I'm interested in is, are there spots?
I don't know.
You would have to look on the Facebook page.
If you message the Nottingham Comedy Festival page, then you will get an answer to that question. You don't know anything.
You might as well just, as far as I'm concerned, you might as well have just taken 5 minutes to say opportunity.
Then he asked if we had anything to flag,
I'm doing
improv stuff. That's all
I'm being sarcastic. I'm being sarcastic.
I was going to do a 20-minute set with 2 other disabled comedians for the Nottingham Festival, but because of lockdown, we all agreed it wasn't worth the risk. So, but there might be something in the pipeline either next month. So, yes, keep watching.
Obviously, we're a tier 3 area now. So
Yeah.
I think there are some live things happening, but I don't really know what's going on.
It's not worth the risk in my book, but hey,
I mean,
Get Boris back. You've got that in common with him.
yeah, exactly. You can lower it.
I don't know where he's gone. I did say stay for the
I think we hurt his feelings.
party, but
He hurt Boris's feelings.
it'd be
Oh God!
I'm surprised he even has any feelings, but like, we must have hurt them.
it'd be bad. So yeah.
But yeah, no, I think from a London perspective, it's because although we're tier 2, the venue I do my gig at is it's a library, it's like a community centre type feel to it. But they've been since lockdown, they've not opened it up to any events, and they still haven't as well. And considering I do disability, the theme is disability mental health comedy night, and it was such a lovely night to do, and I still do it online. Laugh Able Comedy Night, that's where you can check it out. But
it's a great night. I've done it a couple of times.
Yeah, but we do. Yeah, we try and run things virtually. But considering a lot of our audience with disability, we have where we are, the community where it's based. There's a lot of people with disabilities or mental health conditions that used to go to the library to watch once a month, but because of COVID, the library's been very much like, because obviously disabilities are at their most vulnerable. They were like, well, until we know it's absolutely safe, we're not. And I'd rather be completely safe than not at all. So we are still running monthly gigs virtually, but hopefully when it's safe enough, we can get back to it. But yeah, like even in tier 2 in London, my venue's been very clear about this. And actually that clarity, I would prefer that clarity than people trying to tinker around the edges. Because I sort of think, I've been to gigs where they're socially distant and I'm not so sure, but
I did a few that I was actually really impressed with the precautions they were taking in terms of little bubbles of tables and like wiping down microphones and like masks and distance and all that.
It's a challenge. It's definitely
I did several in September for Rock Central promotion. I often funny. And they were so health and safety cautious. And then I ain't had no more gigs. So, but if you want to, are we allowed to gig if
you can gig?
A gig?
You can gig in Nottingham. It's pretty much the same restrictions as tier 2, except I think anywhere that's hosting an event that like serves alcohol and isn't serving a meal, then they might have more restrictions, but I'm not really sure if that applies if it's like a comedy event.
Yeah,
but there are, it's not a full lockdown.
It's a lot easier to understand in Scotland. We just
Are they
don't
very,
have
are they
any
very
gigs.
clear in Scotland then? Are they
They're very clear that, I mean, they're not even allowed music in pubs just now.
Wow.
Well, not just, I mean, the pubs are shut just now, but like just before they closed, for the last couple of months before they closed, they weren't allowed music in pubs, which just, it just.
Do you mean like live singing and stuff?
No, I mean like music in pubs, full stop. I mean, like if you played music on your phone in the pub, you would be asked to leave the pub.
What?
Which has happened to a friend of mine. Yeah.
Really?
Why?
Yeah. It's apparently the thinking behind it is that when music's getting played, people lean forward and shout in each other's ears, and it's.
I've never thought like that before.
We've had 0 indoor gigs since March. We've had some drive-ins and some outdoor ones, but there's not been a single. Sorry. On you go.
No, I haven't done an indoor gig yet, but I have got one in November for the Canal House.
Well, cool.
Because they serve food, don't they?
Quite possibly.
Yeah,
but if that's an upstairs comedy gig, I did their first one back after they started doing their reopened stuff, and they were actually really on it in terms of like, you know, you order stuff with an app, so it's table service, so no one's getting up and going to the bar and everything. And they did that like straight away from like, what was it, September? Like whenever things started happening.
All good.
Was it when I had 3 gigs post lockdown. It would have been 4, and actually this is something I should probably really bring up on this, because I was meant to do you had Alex on your podcast already, didn't you? I was meant to do his gig in Derby, and then I was physically unwell. I had some kind of food poisoning. I think it wasn't COVID, but I was unwell. But I found myself thinking, like, I was also really kind of struggling with like my brain and having energy that day. And I found myself the automatic response thinking, oh, at least, I've been sick. That's an excuse almost type thing, as if like mental illness isn't real illness. But if you puke, then that's like proper. And therefore you can go like 100%, I can't do this thing. And I was actually really looking forward to the gig as well. But it's, especially when I know that, that's someone who would get it. He's got, the lighter version of my own bipolar, and like I feel like if I said to him, mate, I can't get out of bed, he would get it. But the fact that my instant reaction is kind of like, it's not a real problem if you just can't, I feel like mental disability stuff gets treated very differently to a physical. If you've got a broken leg, everyone's like, you've got a broken leg. If someone, whatever thing they can see, they can put a finger on and say this is happening. But the fact that, if I hadn't been puking my guts up and had just been having a mental breakdown, I would probably, either have left it to the absolute last minute and then had to cry out, or shown up feeling absolutely rotten because I wouldn't have. And it's not a statement about the people running it as much as my own brain of processing things and being like not accepting
society's
needs. Well, yeah, but in terms of like, depression and executive dysfunction and like fatigue and all of the things coming with it, like the fact that I was like almost relieved that I'd thrown up to be like, excellent, a physical response.
A physical response.
Like if you can't do something because you are unwell in a mental illness sense, it feels much harder to kind of justify. It feels like an excuse rather than a reason, I guess.
Well, that comes up a lot in comedy, and especially when you're doing comedy, people say that mental health issues and they aren't a real illness and things. Another thing that people like to say is that people hide behind your mental health issues, and it's like, well, if I'm standing there on stage talking about them, I don't see how that can be fucking hiding behind them.
Yeah,
like
we're talking about it very openly.
Yeah, but it's like, so you try and talk about it, and that sometimes that bolsters that negative attitude towards it, and that's not right. We shouldn't be afraid to open up. But like what's actually going on mentally, but
like like last couple of weeks, I've had personal stuff going on where it's been my anxiety has been like at full pelt, and I actually forgot to go to an indoor gig that was organised. And I don't forget about gigs. I am very good at remembering to go to gigs. partly autism. You know, my memory is very good, but because my anxiety was in full pelt because of personal stuff, I just didn't realise. I completely forgot this gig was going on, and then I personally messaged the promoter, and he hasn't got back to me. I was like, I'm really sorry because I'm down to do a gig at that same place in mid-November. Promoter hasn't got back to me because I messaged. Really sorry, mental health's been terrible. I know I'm down to do the other gigs. Am I still on for that? Because they have a disclaimer in their page, which I never understand a lot of nights, going, if you fail to, if you give less than 24-hour notice, then we won't book you again. If you give less than 24-hour notice to cancel,
Well,
we won't book again. And I don't
organise.
understand that ethos. Yeah, and how do you know what's going to happen in like 20? I get why promoters do, because I'm a promoter myself. I get last-minute cancellations, but it's one of those things that, you know,
I think
life
it's just,
happens.
I think it's just to deter people from messing about, really. But I think most promoters are quite open to listening to the truth. I think I think that 24-hour thing tends to be like, if you're at it, fuck off, you know. But it isn't right that they.
In terms of cancelling with illness stuff, as I say, I actually was physically ill, and I kind of went, oh, that's a real thing I can point to and kind of say this is a concrete thing. But I think I'm more likely to show up to a gig if I'm mentally unwell but physically well than someone who doesn't have a whole bunch of mental health issues, who might say I'm having a rubbish day and cry it off, because I am so aware that I don't want to be seen as like what's the word for it? My brain's completely gone. Like, I don't want to be unreliable or be seen as like someone who can't show up to things and all the rest. So that is the only gig I've ever cancelled, was like the one that was a week or two ago, and I was physically ill. Whereas I think if I am miserably depressed and all the rest, I'll still fucking go, because I don't want someone to go, oh, but she's not going to show up because she's bipolar and she's not going to be reliable. I force myself to go more than anything else, I think.
Personally, I've never done a gig where I haven't been right up to the last moment thinking about the quit, like not doing it. Like, just because it makes you so anxious. Larry David's said once that he's never been to a meeting in his life where he's wanted the other guy to show up. And I can totally identify with that. It's like, especially in Zoom meetings and things, it's like right up until the moment when I have to log in, I just want to not do it and come up with excuses and not do it. But you do it because we love doing it, But it's, I mean, I can see it. It wouldn't take much for that to just get tipped over the top, and I won't do it. And in fact, I have cancelled a couple of gigs through anxiety.
It has to be the other way as well for people who run gigs, because I know last Christmas, me and Tommy and my friend went all the way to Liverpool. We got there. Tommy said, right, I'll Google where the best car park spot is. And then he said, Benny, has anyone texted you? I said, no. And it was cancelled.
And you didn't find out until you got there?
He told everyone else, but he said to me and Tommy, oh, I forgot about you. How can you forget me?
No one ever forgets Benny.
That's bad, man.
Emma's saying something.
Yes, it's awful if you're told you cannot be mentally ill or have depression if you stand on stage to perform. Most of the best performers in history have had mental ill health. I think she speaks to a lot of truth there. It's something both you, Jimmy and Kitty, you both touched on. So that's the stereotype. We are unreliable, when in fact the strength it takes to perform is evidence of motivation and commitment. And yeah, absolutely. validates Kitty's points further. And this is why podcasts like this are really important, so we can air stuff like this and be really honest about how we feel about, again, we've all been there where we don't want to do a gig where we're mentally not in the right place. We still do it anyway. But the payoff from that, and there is a balance. But same, like promoting a night is incredibly stressful as well. Like having trying to manage acts and trying to manage the night and trying to make sure you're giving everyone time and respect and everything like that, and trying to manage other people's commitments here, there, and everywhere. And when you drop the ball slightly on something, it's difficult. It's difficult.
Even this is stressful.
No, organising a podcast, absolutely.
Yeah.
So
we are at the hour mark. So before we go, I just want to tell everyone the music has been made by my friend, and this is his name on SoundCloud. Why did it go on that one? Because are you playing about?
no, I didn't. I was just looking at it.
Would you log out after this?
I didn't mean to. I was just going through the banners. Sorry.
Good job, you're 200 miles away.
I genuinely didn't mean to. I was just having a play about. Sorry, I'll stop.
If anyone wants to listen to his music, he's on the SoundCloud at this alias.
Latitude or Beat Feeder.
Yeah. But before we go, guys, the only question I like to end up on is, with my disability, I get down and sometimes I wish I had a magic tablet that I could be able-bodied or non-disabled, but I like the way I am. I like being in comedy. I've made friends. What about you, Kitty?
I think, as I was kind of saying at the beginning, one of the things that is kind of an odd thing is that I have so many things going on, and I wouldn't want to be a boring whatever. I wouldn't want to have all of those things that make me unique completely change. But in terms of specifically like my mental illness, I would love to function. To be honest, I would. Yes, I can get hypomanic and creative, and yes, I can hyper focus with my kind of ADHD. Look me in a thing for 16 hours, and I'll do some creative whatever. But honestly, if someone said to me, hey, from tomorrow, your brain would be totally neurotypical and it wouldn't try and kill you every now and then, I would do that. Yeah, I would much rather have a neurotypical brain that doesn't go either too manic or too depressed or, distractible or hyperactive and all the various things and all the compulsions. Sorry. It might be
very honest.
What about you, Jimmy, before we go?
Well, I mean, I've found comedy and it is therapeutic, but at the same time as well, it's brought a whole new range of problems to me that makes it like you kind of wonder what you're doing, But like Kitty was saying, you if you didn't want to be yourself, you wouldn't love yourself. You've got to kind of appreciate yourself for what you are, like no matter how kind of fucked up you are,
Loving myself. Oh, that's another ask.
No, but it's impossible to, if you can't accept yourself, then you're fucked, And I think part of the reason that we're doing comedy is because we can accept ourselves, we can express ourselves, we can make people laugh at our shared experience.
But you know what, everyone else, especially on a forum like this, on a platform like this, we all accept each other for who we are.
We're all one big happy family.
Yeah.
Well, me and Mark and others are part of, I would say, unorganised family now.
It's a
We
lovely
do
family
a-
to be a part of.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
do a Zoom meeting every fortnight. Kitty and Jimmy, you're more than welcome to come
Sure.
along.
It's a
Great to have a
really
supportive network.
and
That's the thing. Whether or not you're happy about things, it's making the most of things and
we
That's
can
looking after each
made me
other.
now.
that's maybe want to modify my answer. Maybe I could like get a pill for everyone else to understand me. I could spike the population with the supply of pills, but I would remain as I am.
It's not us who needs to change. It's the world.
and it's
Yeah.
sorry, so this goes into the the social model of disability, and I'm really
Okay.
sorry. I'm sorry, I felt really passionate about this because you're right, Benny. I was agreeing with you. Social model of disability means society makes us disabled, and actually, society that needs to enable us. It's not the other way around.
Also,
And-
capitalism tries to measure your worth and how productive you are rather than
Yes.
like having value inherently as people.
Yeah.
Kitty, I'm booking you for my gig.
Just saying, Legal Revolution.
I would
Gets into
have
the ready.
talk over you, Kitty.
Sorry?
I wouldn't talk over you. No, I'm joking. We're good friends, me and Mark.
We are great friends. Benny, can I just quickly? Sorry.
No, it's Benny's podcast. Let Benny say what Benny wants to
Well,
say.
it was my podcast, but Mark, what have you got to say?
I feel really embarrassed about this now. Everyone's promoted. Can I quickly share a banner or however it works?
Well, we were going to talk about that, but what banner
Okay.
would you like to share?
Well, it's I have a night called Laugh Able Comedy Night. We've got no, I've added it. Don't worry, it's fine. Laugh Able Comedy Night is a disability and mental health night, and actually, if you listen out on Monday, we're going to have an announcement about 2 gigs we've got potentially happening. So please listen out for that.
Those live ones?
Yes, they're virtual.
In real. Oh, virtual.
They're virtual. And actually, one of them is I can't talk about the other one because still Go on, Benny. Have your comment on it.
Normally, we don't do one next Friday, which we're not. But then we do it the following Friday. However, we can't do it that Friday, so we will be on, but we will be on this Saturday instead. Why
Really
is
shaking
that,
things up.
Mark?
Because Friday. Oh, I don't know if I should. Do you know what? I'm going to announce this actually on here.
You don't have to say who's on.
Well, I can say who the headline is. So Friday the 13th of November. You are going to be headlining at some point, Benny. Do not worry. Friday the 13th of November. We have a fundraiser for the Disability and Mental Health charity, One Place East, which is a local charity in East London that is an advocacy project for people with mental health conditions and disabilities. We'll be having.
And for people like me who they help to give me a voice so I can do
kick him out.
what I do.
Beautiful.
So anyway, shall we end the podcast?
Please. Sorry, can I just say, Benny?
Oh my goodness.
27th of November, we're having another gig. If you want to get involved, if anyone wants to apply for Laugh Able, just email laughablecomedy@gmail.com. Because I will give you a voice, don't worry. I promise, Kitty, this isn't how I'm on my night, don't worry.
One more, because Susanna will kill me if I don't do this. I am doing a live gig on Zoom at Hell at the Den. I have put the link in the comment.
It's amazing.
Free
Cool.
to join. Donations will be grateful. No pressure, Benny, but there are some great comedians, and
I've gigged with Rachel before. Rachel Jackson, she's really good.
I haven't yet.
Yeah, she's really good. She's really good.
And Joe Coffey is headline Laugh Able. She's absolutely brilliant. That's a brilliant lineup, Benny.
I'm with Georgie. Is it Georgie?
Yeah, Georgie Morel.
So
Are you the only man on the lineup as well, Benny?
Yeah, on there.
That's what I'm talking about.
So, nice and roll.
How does it feel to be the minority gender?
Well, that's what I'm saying. There's no pressure because I am shaking in my boots.
What's new?
They are 3 strong acts.
You'll be fine, man. You'll smash it. You'll be fine.
You're gonna smash it. If there's anything, you will. You'll be good.
Podcast. So yes. Right, music, because I've had enough from Mark. So we
just because he did it to me.
Out.
No, I kicked
Mark
him out.
kicked him out.
I kicked him out. Oh no, I've had enough from Mark. That's what he said.
No.
I've had enough from Mark.
Goodbye from me. Goodbye from everyone else.
Bye.
Bye.
And that's all from Benny Shakes and Friends. And that's all from Benny Shakes and Friends for tonight. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe. Remember to click on the bell for notifications. The next podcast will be in a fortnight. And remember, if you like the jingle from Leicester in Nottingham, or you would like to support the regular podcast, then please click on the links below.